Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Amelia, it is so great talking to you today. I absolutely loved this movie and was so moved. I was a mess in tears afterwards. And I don't normally cry at movies, and this just it really hit me. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I'm so glad you enjoyed the movie.
Oh my God. And you're incredible in it. I just like it, I was really blown away by all four of you, and it was so special.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Now take me back to the Sundance experience. What went through your head when
Mhm.
you heard that CODA won four awards, including the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award and the Ensemble Award?
I was in a way shocked. I think there was a moment where we were kind of all worried that maybe no one would see our film, and we worked so hard. There's no sign of the world opening back up, and so when Sean, called me and said we were going to open Sundance, I was just so over the moon. And I was excited about that. I just never even thought that we would break records and win awards and things. But I was so happy that we did. I was so happy for Sean and for all the cast and crew because everybody really poured their heart and soul into this movie. It was a very special experience. It was kind of weird though because we weren't together and we weren't there. I know that when we premiered Sundance, I was filming a night shoot and I was in a field in the middle of nowhere going about my night, and then I'd suddenly lift my phone up and there'd be all of these amazing comments and people were loving our film, and it kind of felt a bit surreal.
Oh my God, that's incredible to hear. But a bummer that you all couldn't be together to experience like
I
that kind of
know,
film festival
I know.
together.
It's nice.
Now,
I've seen them being in LA at the moment doing press though, so that was
right.
definitely a reunion for sure.
Yeah. Now, did I read that you did not know American Sign Language going into this? Because it must be then daunting to know the importance it is for your character. And then how do you go about learning it to make it seem so second nature to you?
Yeah, so it was a challenge. I knew nothing. I didn't know anything about ASL. I didn't know anything about deaf culture. It was always something that fascinated me, and I think when I read the script, I just immediately wanted to learn and I wanted to immerse myself in this culture and this world. Um, I love pushing myself when I do projects and I love educating myself in a way. So I knew it was going to be tough, but I wanted that challenge. And I had amazing coaches. I had an incredible deaf coach called Anselmo de Souza. I was filming a Netflix show at the time in Toronto, so he was in Toronto, and it meant that we could meet up every weekend and prep for hours. And I trained, yeah, for 9 months. And then I flew to Massachusetts and I worked alongside Alexandra Wales and Anton Massetti, who were our ASL directors. And they really pushed me. I think because they knew I wanted to
Right.
portray Ruby the best I could. And I wanted it to be truthful. I wanted it to be accurate. I spoke to a lot of coders prior to flying out. And then I spoke to all of our interpreters on set were coders. So I spoke to them in detail and depth. And, I just wanted everybody's experience and everybody's feelings. And then I kind of wanted to find that in Ruby. I was just very lucky with Troy, Daniel, and Marley too. They all kind of took me under their wing and welcomed me uh, into their world and their culture. And everybody that was surrounding me was so helpful and patient and kind and really, really, I wouldn't have been able to do this without them.
Yeah, when reading the notes about it, it just seemed like everyone was there for each other to make this
Mhm.
the film the best thing that it could be so that you all were kind of like learning it together. Not only
Yeah.
did you have to learn ASL, I mean, you have such an amazing singing voice, and you then have to
Thank
like
you.
learn and embody one of the greatest songs of all time, Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now, which is a perfect song in my opinion. Who are
Yeah.
the musicians that inspired your love of music?
Wow, what a great question.
Thanks.
I think I grew up in a very musical household, so I listened to a lot of styles of music, and music helps me with acting. I create playlists for every project that I do. Music really makes me feel. So I think that's kind of what drew me to this project too. It was an excuse to, I've never had a singing lesson before.
Mhm.
So it was an excuse to, I sing all the time and I sing in the shower. And I did a musical in the West End when I was like 8, but I'd never had a singing lesson. So it was an excuse to kind of explore that. And because music makes me feel and I've grown up with it, it was, I guess, a reason to express my feelings.
I
you
mean,
know, in a
I
different way.
yeah, I totally get that. I'm just jealous that you haven't had a music lesson and yet you can sing as well as you do. That's awesome. I loved talking to you, Amelia. This is I hope that everyone loves this movie because I it just moved me so much. So thank you so much for the time today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your questions. It was so
Oh,
good.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Daniel, it is really great talking to you today. I absolutely loved this movie, and I don't normally cry at movies, and this one I was just a mess afterwards. So thank you for the experience. Thank you for such an eye-opening film too.
Oh, of course, of course. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, now take me back to the Sundance experience. What went through your head when they said that CODA had won 4 awards, including the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award?
You know, I mean, I didn't expect that, honestly. I mean, we knew this was a great movie. We knew people would enjoy it, right? But when we got to Sundance, it was just overwhelming. I mean, all the recognition, the awards, everything that we came away with. I mean, it was just so much. And we were all so emotional and excited. And I guess looking forward to seeing how far this movie can go, right? I mean, ooh, yeah, it was something. I'm really happy that people like the movie, though.
Oh, I mean, I loved it. And I hope that people watch it, even if they don't know sign language or even if they're maybe unsure of what it's about. Like, I hope they take that risk to watch it. Now, ASL comes with different variations and styles. Did you, Troy, and Marley and Amelia come up with maybe your own rhythm or style of how you would sign as a family unit?
You know, that is actually a really good question. So our everyday ASL, like normal ASL that we use every day, you know, we all have that. But when we started rehearsals to become the Rossi family that you see on screen, we did have some special vocabulary. For example, we're a fishing family in the small fishing town. We're on the boat. Like, of course, there would be words that we would have to sign as a part of like daily life, right? I mean, we're not fishermen. None of us were fishermen before the movie, so we had to figure out how would we sign the word for this and how would we sign the word for that. So we had to create some lingo for that. You know, sometimes we'd have like little jokes in our characters. You see the brother and sister dynamic where we're joking. I'm sure you've seen some of those funny phrases that pop up. You see them spoken in hearing movies, but we had to figure out how to sign those. So we created some of those based on English words that people might be familiar with, turned those visual. So we played around with that a lot. So yeah, it was a really fun process.
Oh God, that's so like fascinating to learn. Now you're from Duluth, Minnesota, and attended the Minnesota State Academy for the Deaf. Is that where you fell in love with the arts?
Right before that, yes, right before that. It started when I was about 9. So I was in Duluth, and at that time, I loved acting as a child. I mean, how I got into it originally was I was in a mainstream school, and it was Lakewood Elementary School. So I had a teacher who came to spend time with me because I was the only deaf student. And so everybody else was hearing. That's what a mainstream school means. So anything that I fell behind on, he would come up and help me out with. And so he noticed I really like to tell stories. I like to draw a lot of pictures, very creative mindset. So he took on the role of director and set up a play, gave me a part in it. And I loved it. I just, after I did it, I said, hey, mom, I want to do more plays. Unfortunately, at that time, 9 in Duluth. I mean, that was like, I don't know, 1999. There just wasn't any opportunities for me to be in anything up there in Duluth, not at all. So I did nothing until I got to the academy, transferred, I think, in 2004, and they had some drama. So I got inside that and started getting auditioning, getting roles from 2004 until 2008, graduated from that academy. And I did plays all the way through there. Yeah. You know, you're right, though, in that at the time, I just enjoyed acting when I was 9, but it wasn't until high school when I really started to think about, you know, maybe I wouldn't mind doing this for like a career, maybe like an actual job. So it was about high school age when I really like started focusing on it professionally.
I mean, not only did you do plays, but you also did the musical Spring Awakening on Broadway, which is, I love that musical. I was watching clips of you do it. What advice do you have for deaf kids out there to know to who want to be in the arts and to be in musicals and to know that it's still possible?
You know, I would say it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever you want to do, just do it. Just go for it. Like, get out of your comfort zone. Any play, like anything near your home. Maybe there's something public, like local theater or whatever. Or maybe there's no deaf characters in something, but who cares? Go out and audition for it anyway. You never know. someone might like the way you look. Maybe they'll change the role for you, you know. And even if there's no opportunities around, that's fine. You've probably got a phone. Like, you know, get creative with your phone, make a funny video, you know, show your acting skills all by yourself. Maybe set up different characters, get really creative, you know. So I mean, the most important thing is that if you love drama and acting, show that passion, right? I mean, that's what I could say. Like, you know, just get out there, just go through your trials and tribulations, get out there and do it, but keep that passion, right? Keep that passion with you, keep it going. And you know, someday you might become very successful and rich and famous. I mean, some get success very early, some might not get it till you're 50. Who knows? You never know, right? But the important thing is that you're following and pursuing that passion.
I loved hearing that. I just think that's a beautiful way to end this on. Daniel, thank you so much. I think you're based here in Minneapolis now, so hopefully one day we can have you on our show. That'd be lovely. And I hope that people love this movie as much as I
Oh
do.
yes, yes, please have me on your show. Yes, absolutely. Just let me know.
Yes, we'll do. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate
Oh
it.
yes, and hey, come up to Duluth anytime, right?
Yes, yes, I will. Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Troy, it is really great talking to you today. I absolutely love this movie and was so moved. I'm not one to cry at movies, and I was a mess by the end. So thank you so much for this eye-opening movie. It was really wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. That really means a lot. I'm so glad that you saw it. I don't usually see men cry like that, but I guess it's about time.
Yeah, right? Like I want people to see it because it's so moving in ways I don't think people will expect or come to understand. And I love that about that. Now, take me back to the Sundance experience. What went through your head when they announced that your film won 4 awards, including the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award?
I really never imagined that would happen. It really blew my mind. Sundance is one of the most popular film festivals the world over. And it's so competitive. So many talented directors, writers, actors, you name it. And I never thought what happened would happen. And then with CODA winning those awards, I'll never forget. Sundance asked me, you know, how do you feel, Troy? And my response was, I'm not speechless. I'm handless. I don't know. It just gave me goosebumps. I was just overwhelmed and in shock. It was touching. I was happy. And what a rare experience to have this happen.
Right.
Wow. What an honor and a blessing.
Now, I mean, I love hearing that. I think it just speaks volumes. Now, ASL can come with different variations and styles. Did you and Daniel and Marley and Emilia come up with your own kind of rhythm and style of how you would sign as a family and what that kind of family communication would be like?
As an actor, I try to do my homework as an individual, read through the script in English, and try to play around with how it would look in sign language. But you want to keep the same intent as it was written. That's very important. But sometimes you don't realize that sign can take it even further than the written word. For example, when you're talking about dirty jokes, you hear the words, use your imagination, but signs make it iconic. It makes it more graphic. And that's new for a lot of the audience. And I was happy to have that opportunity to share that.
Yeah, no, I mean some of the scenes that you have with Marley in it and what Amelia's character discovers are really funny and I think will take audiences by surprise in a way. Now, I read that there was a director of ASL on set and that role is different than an interpreter. Can you explain the difference and how, and are they both utilized at the same time?
That's a very good question. The interpreter is there to facilitate communication with the director, the crew, and the hearing actors. But we had 2 people that were ASL masters who are deaf. And those were deaf eyes on what we were trying to capture. There's a scene where Ruby's singing at the high school concert, and the family shows up to the concert, and Sean came up to us. In the script, there are no lines to be signed, but she asked us to improv that scene, and Marley and I did that. We played around with some ideas of different lines we could do, and the director wasn't sure exactly what we were signing. So it was nice to have those two ASL masters, Anne and Alexandria, to have those eyes and to write down and capture those lines and pass that off to the director. And then she said, oh, I like that. And then added that to the story. And also when Jackie asked Frank, what do you want for dinner tonight? I say, pasta. Yeah, we'll have to stop by the food store. I mean, something just basic like that. That wasn't provided in the script. That's why those ASL masters were there. The interpreters are there to facilitate communication in the entire environment with the cast and the crew. Costume, makeup. We go into the makeup booth, and it was nice to have an interpreter there in case we're asked a question or they tell us not to move. To have that communication was helpful. But with those deaf masters, they have a different role. I hope I made that distinction clear.
Absolutely. I think it's all so fascinating, and I just love not only watching the movie, but just learning how you all work together with hearing people on the creative team as well as deaf people on the creative team. Now, what advice do you have for young deaf kids out there who want to be involved in the arts and theater and know that it's still possible?
Make sure you got a side job. Show business is not a permanent job. It has its ups and downs. So make sure you have something on the side to support yourself. And I look at acting as a hobby. And if it picks up, then I become more involved. And you need to have the right attitude. You need to be committed. You need to be responsible. And if you are, they'll remember you and they'll want to work with you again. And get your degree or your certificate so that you do have something to fall back on.
Troy, I hope that we keep seeing more and more from you and the rest of this film because it's so phenomenal, and I cannot wait to hear what people think of it. So thank you so much for the time today. I love talking to you, and I just love learning more about the deaf community and this movie and everything involved.
Well, hopefully we'll meet and I'll get to talk to you again.
Yes, that would be great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.